So many of you who are new doesn't know anything about research scholars forum. We'll start with giving you an introduction about the program and what we do. So actually there is no provision in ISI which allows to have a legal forum which represents ISI students. So this forum started with some individual efforts from some research scholars. It started its journey in 2014, and there were the first program of this Indian Statistical Institute Research Scholar Forum was held on February 2014. So it was a musical tribute to Pete Seeger, and they continued this program with many surveys regarding sexual harassment at workplace, of safety of women, documentary of screening of a film called Damaged by Subroto K. Shahu, which is based on Kalahandi. And there were some seminars on Adivasi economics, present and past. Then there was film screening of two movies, Taxi by Jafar Panahi and Chai Garam. Then in 2016, so then it's had many more programs in between, but moving on to 2016, the year I joined ISI as research scholar. In 2014, I was a master student. 2016, I joined as a research scholar. And since then, the research scholar forum, and the research scholar forum, organized events like seminar on casteism in higher education at university, lecture on suicide and depression by Sana Iqbal. Stargazing event of 2016 was organized by Indian Statistical Institute Research Scholar Forum. Then there was a screening of a documentary called Songs to Live By, cycles of 6 documentary by year. Then there was a short lecture by Professor Ratanlal Brahmachari on Bach Goveshona Panchas Bhagavad. Then there was a drama called Tritio Prakriti. This drama was performed by a group called Chitrambaga, and the drama was a film by it was a short film screen, Tritio Prakriti. It was based on the plight of the transgender people. Then there was a lecture by our own Professor Gulas Kaur on Apekshikatabader of the Bigan Jukti or Mukta Chinta by Professor Arnab Chakraborty, speaking today also. Then Indian Statistical Institute Research Scholars Forum observed the Human Rights Day in 2016, and there were 3 lectures by Sujato Bhatro, Kunishko Chaudhary, and renowned activist and professor of physics, Vinayak Sen. Then in 2018, we observed 200 years of Marx, 200 birthday of Marx. And then in 2019, when CAA was announced, we called for a rally, and many of you would remember what Times of India described it as the first rally of ISI in 60 years. And there were Solidarity Flag Day observed in ISI in April in solidarity with Jamia students, condemning the events of Jamia. And then we observed in 2021, we observed International Mother Tongue Day, and we had many more programs planned for that year only, but unfortunately due to 2020, due to COVID, we couldn't go through those. And now after 2 years, we are back again. So first of all, I would like to talk to all the new research scholars who are just knowing about this research scholar forum. We invite you to talk to us. We will be that we can keep this process going on for the future. I have submitted my thesis and I am speaking with you here, and many of people who are currently associated with are also in the way of their in the end of their way of these research scholars. So the talk must go on, carried on. Anyway, so today's event, before going into the main event, the seminar and talking about the 203rd. So many of you got the mail for 123rd. That was a mistake on my part. So I would like to apologize again. We are organizing this event to commemorate the 203rd birthday of Ishwar Chandra Vidyashagar. But that will be anchored by hosted by Rakesh, who is a scholar, a scholar. He will be hosting that part. So before going into that event, I would like to call Munmun Vishwas. So Munmundi was an MSTAT student here, and then is a scholar student here. And she is currently assistant professor in BKC College. So I'd like to welcome her and say something about the idea behind as a founding member. Many of the founders, she is one of them. So I'd like to call her on here and say something about the idea behind the Research Scholars Forum.
So Mama already given a detailed introduction of Research Scholar Forum. I think it was initiated in the end of 2012 after the Delhi rape incident. So after that incident, some of us at least can remember there was a huge protest or resistance movement all over our country, especially in Delhi and around. And lots of students from the higher educational institute were out of their campus for the protest, and it actually affected many of us at that time because the whole youngsters were agitated. So on that occasion, we actually called for a meeting. I think in the beginning of or in the December of 2012, at the end of the year, and many people responded. We should do something, and that incident was very significant because many of us know that after that the rape law of our country it was changed, and a lot of Burma Commission was formed, and the discrimination in the campuses it was agenda to the society. So not only that incident, I think as we started with this environment, in this environment, we actually what we felt that as Mama already said, we at that time I was a research scholar, and some of us felt that there is a lack of space of interaction for students and research scholars in ISI campus, and we sort of we become disconnected what is happening in the society every time. So as research scholar, we you all of you think it was thinking you was about contributing something to the science and society, and the science is not disconnected from the society. So I think today's topic and Ishwar Chandra Vidyashagar, and that person I believe he deserves more attention as a teacher, at least about inclusion principle in our education system, because when I was a student of a higher educational campus, a college student, at that time I knew that 11% of our country students they get enrolled into the higher education, and after that in between 2016, 17 it was 15%, but after this lockdown and all this economic crisis and the new education scenario that is getting changed for last few days, and we have our new education policy. So, I doubt even 15% of the student community who get the chance of being included in a higher education arena. So, as a research scholar, as students from this premier institute like ISI, we should think about that and what we are researching, what we are thinking of innovating, that should be connected in some way or other to the society, the needs of the society. We started with I remember with a why interdisciplinary? Because RX forum at our mind, it was a forum for discussion of interdisciplinary topic. It can be from our research topic, the non-technical part of what we are researching on, and also about society. So the list of programs among them, actually we arranged a workshop on LaTeX as well at some point of time. And Professor Mondar Mitro, yeah, Professor Mondar Mitro actually was agreed to conduct that workshop, and many students got benefited from that workshop organized by Research Scholar Forum. At the same time, uh, actually we had seminars on various related topics about starting from economic crisis to whatever is happening, eviction, the damage to that documentary film. It was on big dam project and the related eviction that was happening that time. And I think that is not irrelevant now as well. So that was the idea. So I don't think I should take much time today because we have two very eminent speaker today. All of them is actually contributing for inclusion in education in many ways. I personally know him, and Shati Moitro is also is very vocal about this new education policy, and I am a follower of her in the social media forum. So that's it. I think this is a very indeed a happy moment for me as well, because Research Scholar Forum after long it is being relevant for this campus, and a lot of students are responding. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mungundi. So now I would like to go to the main part of our program. So this part will be hosted by Rakesh Kumar. He is in fourth year SRF in Applied Statistics Unit. So handing over to Rakesh Kumar.
Thank you, Sujita. So hello everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. I am Rakesh Kumar, a researcher follower, ASU. So we from the Indian Statistical Institute welcome you all of today. The program title Investigation Inclusion in Indian Education. So as we are here to celebrate 203rd birthday anniversary of Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, one of the great pathfinders of the Indian Renaissance, witnessed in the 19th century. Pandit Vidyasagar wore many hats. For an example, an educator, a writer, a social reformer, playing so many different roles in so many capabilities rightfully, earned him the credential of being one of the early progenitor of Indian modernity. All these credentials were the result of his brand of liberal humanism. A student topic is on the investigation of inclusion in Indian education. This might be the perfect occasion to mention some examples of Vidyasagar's liberal and inclusive reform in education. In 1851, he became the principal of Sanskrit College, Kolkata. He truly remodeled the medieval academic system prevailing in Sanskrit College by making unprecedented changes. It included both English and Bengali as the medium of learning besides Sanskrit. He introduced courses on European history, philosophy, and science alongside Vedic scriptures. He changed the rule against inclusion non-Brahmin students in Sanskrit college. As a practitioner of rationality, Ishwar Chandra felt that to bring flow in a stagnant society, it needs to educate its deprived part. He actively fought the social taboo of keeping women out of the reach from the light of education by founding 35 girls' schools and enrolling around 300 girls in there. Aside from education, the schools provided vocational training to make them self-reliant. He supported John Eliot Drinkwater Bethune to establish the first permanent girls' school in India. He was vocal for widow remarriage, and his perseverance resulted in Hindu Widow Remarriage Act, which was declared on 26 July 1856. He is the pioneer who understood the problem of their readers in understanding complicated Bengali language. Thus, he took the initiative of simplifying and modernizing this language. Before him, there was no such simple, easy, and systematic textbook for learners. He is considered the father of Bengali prose. So now we feel fortunate to have today a speaker among us who has made important contributions by making mathematics more accessible for the Bengali. Our first speaker is our very own Dr. Arnav Chakraborty. He will speak on Matri Vigyan Charcha importance. He completed B.Stat and M.Stat from this institute and went on to Stanford to pursue PhD. Currently, he is an associate professor in Applied Statistics Unit. He had published a series, Banglae Bujhano English Boi, in which he had already written 12 books on a plethora of mathematics discipline. So, after this talk, we shall have a small question session. Please welcome Dr. Arnav Chakraborty.
The inclusion starts here. I am included in the audience. Trying to exclude myself. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, on this side and on that side, for inviting me. Now, it is not that I am a very willing speaker, because I generally do not like to face other people except myself. Now, when they requested me to speak here, so my first question was, why should I speak? And the answer, as you have already mentioned, is that because I have written a number of books in Bengali in some weird experiment kind of way. So why not just discuss about that? Now, so whatever I'm going to talk about is what I told myself over the last 12 or 10 years about why one should write that kind of Bengali book. And whatever I say is actually something that I am telling myself, and you just happen to be accidentally present. So if I feel that something is bad, I'm going to say something is bad. It is just like, I do not really want to say what I feel about him, but he says, please tell me, and I tell him. And in that case, I just tell him that you are an idiot. And in that case, he'll be angry. But then I will say, well, you asked for it. So in that spirit, please take it in that spirit. Now, my original plan was to speak in Bengali, but I was requested to interject some English words into Bengali. Instead of doing that, I am trying to speak completely in English because I see some people here that I could see the names of some of my students. I know that they have no understanding of Bengali, so I am going to speak in English. Okay. So So the topic is using Bengali for English for science education. So let's start by understanding what I mean by Bengali. Again, when I started to write my book, I had to think about what exactly do I mean by Bengali. Now, of course, there are various ways you can define Bengali. It started 3,000 years ago or something from Chakravarti and Rabindranath said about this, etc., etc. For me, Bengali has a simple definition that there are lots of people in West Bengal, Bangladesh, and some such other areas. I want to take mathematics to them. I am not writing anything to benefit the language Bengali because I want to pay homage to Chandra Vidyasagar. No, I am not doing any of those things. I am merely trying to reach out to the people to whom mathematics is not accessible because of language barrier. So I am using that language which they understand. Period. If it requires English word, it is English word. If it requires Hindi word, then I will be using Hindi word. So completely pragmatic approach. Nothing to do with Sottenbuchian approach, which I hate from the core of my computer. Okay, so that is Bengali for me. Number one. Number two. So science education. So what is meant by science education using either English or vernacular or whatever? Well, there are four different types. Second, when I was deciding about writing my book, I was thinking, what am I going to write? In fact, initially, I also thought that I'm going to write a collection of poetry and things like that. So I am trying to just reach out to the masses. Now, what is my science education? Number one, you can take up some English book or the websites, etc., and study English. That's essentially study science. That's essentially how I learned it. I almost never read any Bengali book on science. So my parents taught me English very early in life, so I could just read English books. I think many here are of the same time. So you know English enough, so you are reading science using English. Simple. So that is type one. Type two, the Sottenbuchian approach. You make some very weird Bengali technical terms which no one understands and there is no standard about. Essentially, it was trying to give job to some people who are flatterers, what is the chancha. And so you create these things like you create Bengali technical terms and we'll be using them and it is going to benefit our country tremendously. So in order to give some money to the chamchas in an indirect way, this cult was created that we are creating Bengali technical terms. So that is the second approach. You write textbooks, etc., using those technical terms. Second approach. The third approach is what we often see about the various magazines and etc. Something like what is written by Potik Guha or Anupraton Hajra, Patrashanti Chakraborty, and Palash Boran. So what they are doing is they are picking up some advanced topic, something which they feel is interesting or maybe immediately relevant, and they write quite advanced stuff for the lay public. And sometimes it is trying to explain theory of relativity or something like God's particle. Essentially, the aim is to provide fodder for after dinner small talk. So you can talk something about something like God's particle. Wonderful thing. Don't you think that God particles are wonderful? So just enough information for those things. These things sell well, at least for a few months. So that is the third type. I was not satisfied with any of these things, so I started a fourth type, and it is very insignificant, but since I am speaking it, I am including it as the fourth type. It just says that, well, we speak in Bengali, mixed with English, we have some language using which we communicate, and naturally there are so many students around us who are learning various branches of mathematics and science. Say something like this, I want to say that if you differentiate sine, in that case you get cosine. If you want to explain this to someone in Bengali, what will you say? Sine ke differentiates on the cos. That's the most simple thing. So let's just do that in writing, as simple as that. And some of the greatest teachers here in Kolkata, anyone has any idea who is possibly the greatest teacher of mathematics here in Kolkata in terms of number of students, popularity? Swarup Mohanty. Swarup Mohanty, I think you have heard. So I'm sure many of you have heard his name, possibly have gone to his coaching class. He teaches in the Theosophical Society for undergraduate mathematics, very popular teacher, some 900 students. All the students from all the reputed institutes mostly go to his coaching class. He has not, I think, passed even his undergraduate. But he has his regular note, which he can explain. Obviously, he cannot speak completely fluent English. He is doing this thing. Except that the problem is his quality of mathematics is very low. But the way he is communicating, that is essentially what we should follow. Instead of just using some very highbrow technical terms which no one really seems to understand, or making some Bengali things. So use that communication skill. We can easily see that that is what appeals to people. Instead of just he is just a private tutor kind of thing. Oh, we do not want to even include his name in the discussion, but he has kept the right name in the sense how to communicate. His quality of teaching is abysmally low. Why not take the thing that really works and then really do it, and then use that technique to teach mathematics or science in general? So that's what I do. That's the simple thing that I did. Absolutely, the language that we speak, the same way I would speak to you in Bengali, I have to speak in that. So these are the 4 different things. Okay, now the question is, so what is the importance of doing it in Bengali in my way or in some other way? So for that you have to understand, why do we care about science education in India? Now, whether you like it or not, India is a third world country. So the main reason why we learn science is because we want to be visible to the first world country, so that they will spit out whatever they do not need, and we want to graduate. That's precisely why most of us have learned science. You cannot find a single computer scientist, for example, here in ISI, who has ever written 5 lines of code to do something in their own life. So they want to write a code which they will send to a journal, and if it gets accepted, they want to use that credential to get some prize or some such thing, possibly some increment. But here is a computer, here is your life. Isn't there a single problem in your own life that you can solve using a program that you write? No. Maybe very few, possibly 5 or 10 people in the entire country will be found who have written a code to solve some problem in his or her own life. We are doing it just to get visibility to the West. So I am a great guy, give me some money, give me some money. So we are teaching, so we are learning science, and that is something which we hope actually makes us closest to the Western world. That is why we have this strange belief that good students study science, and inferior students study commerce, and absolutely all our students, they study arts. Because obviously the Western people do not care about arts from our country. All the outsourcing job comes from what we call science, and we are trying to do it. I will just tell you something. I was going by Dankuni local, that's from ISI, and I met one of the research scholars there, very easy. And
Yeah, you will do next one.
Yeah.
It will take 8 hours to. Yeah, this one is inclusion.
So the next speaker? No.
Yeah, Kirti is standing over there.
Okay. So I was just talking to him and I just asked him, so have you heard the name of someone, or one of the main founders of this Pune? And he said, oh, দারুণ কতগুলো পিয়ারের মারিয়েছে। What's that? PRL? It's a terms of physics review letter or something. So his credentials, so how good a student is, how many Western journals he could actually publish. So that is actually the way we look at. For example, all the research topics that you are researching on, you have no connection with any of those things. You have obviously no connection with those things in your own life. So if you try to benefit the society, you will start thinking of how to talk against rape, how to teach the slum dwellers. So then you are learning physics. It should be something useful. No connection. I am doing this only to get published, and then I will get a fat job. And if I do not get a fat job, maybe I will get a slim job. But there is no connection of what you are studying. The supposed research, the people say you are so very educated, but when you are trying to help the society, you actually done. want to help the society, but even for those who wants to help the society, all their education has no connection with what they are trying to do. So they're possibly making a procession, shouting, putting poster. But hey, you are a physicist. Hey, you are a physicist. You are a computer scientist. Don't you think that your computer programming ability has something to do with your education skills or something to do with your love for the society? Just nothing. We are learning science because we want to make ourselves visible to the Sahib so that they will just give something and we'll be happy. So that is the main reason why we study science. Absolutely no exception, possibly a few here and there, minority. So when I say that on these code techniques, which one is the best, goes without saying the first one is the best. You somehow learn English because in order to make yourself visible to the first world country, you should better be able to speak their language. So that's what most people go for. And it is quite justified in the sense that that's how our view about science is. No one learns computer science in order to write a program to solve a problem that I want. I am writing a program in computer science so that I can get an outsourced job. It should be working for a BPO. It should be working in some it could be working in a US university as a professor, but the main thing you want to sell yourself to someone. So if the someone knows English, then better do it in English. Who cares about your computer science? Okay, so according to that criterion, the first one is the top. The second one, the Sutton-Boshian approach, is of course the worst because you cannot learn the subject at the same time you cannot sell yourself. That is the main reason no one really follows the Sutton-Boshian approach. Third one. The third one is basically for small talk. It is restricted to few urban societies, and that's all. So it is again one of the minority. Comes the last one. In the last one, this has the advantage that you really can spread it out to the much bigger population, but at the same time, you are taking technical terms that will be used in the ultimate test, namely when you want to sell yourself to the Sahib. In that case, knowing the actual technical terms will help. So according to this criterion, if I remove the very top one, which has nothing to do with Bengali, out of these three, the last one emerges victorious. But while it might look like a clinching evidence in favor of my system, it is not actually. Because the science want a very few stupid people, something like animals from India. Because the job that the Indians finally have to do are essentially animal jobs. The problem is India provides so many animals, a huge bunch of animals, all of them are vying to get a little piece of the cake that is thrown at them by the West. So there's a long queue. Even if we do all this inclusion business, what will happen? People will join near the end of the queue. Anyway, even the existing queue really is not getting enough food from the West. So what is the use of including more? Yes, you have the satisfaction, like something like this, that here is a kid whose father is a vendor in the Sialda market, and he's so very poor, yet he has got 80% marks and marks. Wow, wow, wow. But then everyone knows what is going to be the future of this guy. At best, he's joining the end of the queue. Already, possibly only the first 1,000 will actually get anything. And he is essentially joining the end of the queue. So whether he studies or he does not study, whether he gets 80% or not, it doesn't matter. So even if you teach science to lots of villagers, who cares really? Yes, some villagers will learn exactly how to prove, for example, the intermediate value theorem. Who cares? Because with this, we will be able to ever get the arms that is thrown to us by the first world country. So who cares about it? Yes, I understand. You have taught a few more villagers to prove mathematics. So what? Now comes the second one. That is the reason why I believe actually the importance lies why you should do it in or why I have done using Bengali. Now there's a second reason why one should study, why we actually study science in our country. So the main reason is, of course, we want to get the arm thrown at us by the foe. Thank you very much. So when we look at the way science is taught, say for example, mathematics is taught, you will see that it's not a very smooth process. The teachers always look very grumpy. There are so many questions that you can ask, you do not get answers. You have to learn it in this way because it is written in the book. This question must be answered in this way because there are 10 years question and you have to cram this. So it is a very unpleasant. Now, why is it very unpleasant? Because the teachers, when they have studied, they are of course the people who tried to get visible to the topmost layer, that is the West, but could not get it. So they are now teaching at local colleges, local schools, private tuitions, and all those things. They also tried the same thing, but they have failed. They are the second layer. And this second layer is actually deciding the science culture in the country. That is the important thing. So this second layer has no hope of making to the top. They are never going to go to the West. They are never going to get the outsourced. They were never going to get the outsourced thing. So they are the frustrated ones. They say that, yes, we have studied the books. These things do not make any sense. When we were students, we could not answer the question. So now that I am a teacher, I have no way of answering the question. So if the student asks me this question, I am going to shout at them. So that is the spirit that pervades our entire science education. Now, if I thought that if I can write the books in Bengali, I am not saying that these people will actually shoot up to the first world country. No, they will continue to be teachers, but teachers will be less grumpy. Well, the things can be understood after all. Yes, I have not been able to just get into some US university or US job, but the thing is understandable. Here is a guy who comes from some institute, who also has some foreign degree, but if he has written a book with pictures and in his style, which I can understand. Maybe they have not read it carefully when they were students, but when they are teachers and their students ask them something, they have some option to fall back on. Maybe we really do not have to shout at them. Something is fine after all. Something is nice after all. And that, I hope, will improve the general quality of education. So mathematics doesn't have to be something that you have to hate. So it is not that this will actually provide the holy grail for us, namely, lot more students are getting into the IITs and thus getting into the West. No. So this is not our aim. That is something almost impossible to be done, because how many students get into the West depends on how many students the West wants to take it. And it is just a lottery after that, whether you get into the ISI or the IIT or the IIM, it is just a lottery system. So since it is a lottery, there is not much that we can do about it. The lottery will remain a lottery. There are lots of people and only a few of them will actually be taken. So if our aim is that, then we are bound for frustration. Because obviously doing it in Bengali, who cares? It is just not going to make any difference. But the main difference it can make is that this environment, completely the local environment, all the Sharup Mohanty kind of things, those things will start softening out, and we will have things about things like math clubs and a healthy discussion of mathematics, maybe some nice projects and those. It may not look like something great, but that is what I thought that I can achieve. And that is, in my opinion, the importance of Vigyan Charcha in Bengal. That's, thank you.
So now it's a question and answer session. And if anyone from online want to ask questions, please raise your hand. We will take your questions. Okay, so any questions?
What do you mean by Sotyan approach? I mean, what is this?
Oh, Sotyan approach is that you create technical terms for everything and it is completely in Bengali. So you do not say hypothesis, you say prokolpo. So that is the Sotyan approach. I am not really sure if Satyen Bose said this or someone else said this. I am just using it as a name. So if you say no, Satyen Bose did not say this historically, etc., then I will say sorry. By Satyen Boshian approach, I meant where all the technical terms are in Bengali, irrespective of whether
This
it
is
makes.
not the math writer SN book. This is the Satyen book.
Satyen Bose, the big Satyen Bose, the big Satyen Bose.
I never knew he did this. I mean,
Oh, Satyen Bose, that is SN Dev. Satyen Bose is the big Einstein Satyen Bose. Yeah.
So there is a question from online service.
Which software used to write book in Bengali? A software that I wrote for myself. Yeah. So in case he is interested or he or she, yeah, he is interested, in that case, I can share that software. I'll be quite happy to share it. It's written in Java, so it should run in every system.
So in case এখন LaTeX use করা যায় বা Google Doc use করা যায় বাংলায়।
Yeah, but that is rather difficult. Yes, I am using LaTeX. So my software outputs the thing in LaTeX, not LaTeX, it outputs it in XML and XML gets transformed into LaTeX. Eventually it is LaTeX. And in Google Doc, the problem is when you are typing, so you need a transliteration scheme. And the transliteration scheme, according to my opinion, is somewhat difficult to use. So here there are some shortcuts, etc., which makes writing less complex. Because when you have to write 12 books and so many things, then it helps. But yes, if one just wants to write some little thing, then Google Doc is wonderful. Yes. Yes. বন্ধ, হ্যাঁ, আমার বোধহয় এই যন্ত্রটাকে আমি ঠিক দিচ্ছি।
Math teachers are grumpy, mainly because of the limitation. Students quite often not want to learn questions. Right.
It's understandable that if the teacher has a limitation, then the person would like to bully the student. It's pretty natural. Do you think it's unique to math or?
No, not unique to math. It is not at all unique to math. No, yeah, it is actually present everywhere. Yeah, I did for math because I'm not just qualified. I then have to write it. Write for physics. Yeah, it is everywhere. Not just for science alone. It is everywhere. Oh, Rajeshri. বলো। দাঁড়াও, তোমার গলা এবং আমার কান দুটোরই অবস্থা খুব খারাপ।
In Shoten Bose approach,
Yeah.
you said like we use terms in Bengali, like then we can use like sum is joke, biog is minus, like that's also terms.
Right.
So that is also Shoten Bose approach.
No. So the point is, as I said, so what do I mean by Bengali? The terms that ordinary Bengali people understand. For example, if I say prokolpo, what do you understand by that? Just tell me, prokolpo.
Like a new innovation or something we are thinking about.
Now, it is used to mean hypothesis in statistics. So that is Satyen Boshian approach. You are making up some terms just because those things are written using Bengali letters does not mean that it is actually closer to the heart of Bengali people. It's just some weird word. You are not even using it for that part. And when you learn, okay, suppose you learn that prokolpo means hypothesis, but later you want to just move out to the outer world, you want to read other books, and you find prokolpo doesn't help you at all. So if you really have to use a new word, why not learn hypothesis? And hypothesis is something which most educated people have some idea about. And even in the technical sense, it is basically that. So I am not saying that say something like if you are talking about a circle, you can use the term britto. That is not a problem. Or when you are trying to explain a straight line, you can call it a sorolrekha. That is not a problem. So the main idea is, what does my target population understand? And we just cannot go on creating lots and lots of Bengali books, essentially reinventing the wheel. All these books are already available in an internationally known language. And we have an idea about the English language. English quality of English education is not that bad in this country. One can learn. So why first go into some other route and then try to come? Just learn the English. The Satyen Boshian approach, as far as I know, is that just make everything Bengali. And even if you cannot understand, then it's yours. Yeah.
So you are basically saying that Shobden Boshian approach basically means that you better first learn the English first and then you come to the.
Right. In fact, that's what they do. They will give a Bengali word and then explain it in English in parentheses. And something that I always avoid. Whenever I explain one term using another in my book, I always make sure the word in parentheses is Bengali. The word outside is English. I always do that. Meticulously.
স্যার এই যে বাংলা লেখার মানে বাংলায় বই লেখার যে আপনার কত বছর আগে থেকে
ও আমি যখন স্ট্যানফোর্ডে ছিলাম তখন সেটা হচ্ছে মানে 2002 থেকে মানে আমার আর্লিয়েস্ট ডায়েরির পাতার মধ্যে লেখা আছে যে আমি কি করব সেটা একদিন বৃষ্টিতে আটকে পড়েছিলাম ভাবলাম বৃষ্টিটা একটু কমলে তারপরে বেরোবো সকালবেলা তা বসে বসে একটু ডায়েরি লিখি আমি কি করতে চাই আমার জীবনে সেই ডায়েরি লেখা যখন শেষ হলো দেখলাম অন্ধকার হয়ে গেছে বাইরে সারাদিন ডায়েরি লিখেছিলাম এবং সেখানেই প্রথমে এই প্ল্যান গুলো লিখেছিলাম কি করব কিভাবে করব কেন তখন অঙ্কের বই লিখবো সেটা জানতাম না এইভাবে করব এটা কেন দরকার না সে তখন একটা পাতার পর পাতা লম্বা ডায়েরি লিখেছিলাম কিন্তু এই যে স্ট্রাকচার যে বাংলায় বোঝানো ইংরাজি বই that came much later when I was trying to teach at various places especially Vidya Mandir. So first I tried that I will write everything in Bengali, much like the way I am doing, except that I will give the solution also in Bengali, retaining all the technical terms in English. And students didn't like it. No. Why don't you like it? তোমরা ভালো ইংরেজিতে বোঝো না দেখতে পাচ্ছি তাহলে অসুবিধা হচ্ছে না স্যার আপনি ইংরেজিতে আমার ইংরেজি বুঝি স্যার ঠিক আছে. So just to test, I just created 2 sets of documents. One was completely in English and the other was completely in Bengali, not the type I write now. It was completely in Bengali, only the technical terms were in English. They just came, looked at this, all of them took the English version. So what is wrong with it? Then I understood. Actually, one of them told me that we have to write finally our answers in English. In the English version, we can cram and just put it back. But in the Bengali version, you have to understand and then write it in English. And that is the dangerous task because the teachers who are grading them are not exactly intelligent. So they also have one set pattern answer that they know. If it is something different, they might really give them poor marks. So that is quite possible. So their fear was not entirely without substance. Then I tried that, okay, I will just mix it. So I will explain it in Bengali, but the solution will be given in English and with a different font so that they clearly understand that this is what you have to do it. And I took only one version on that. And then someone took it and said, sir, abar Bangla এনেছেন? And then someone said, না উত্তরগুলো ইংরেজিতে করা আছে. Oh, okay, it's fine, sir, it's fine. So then I knew that I have actually hit the sweet spot. So the main idea is because I have to talk. If I have to talk naturally, I have to use some language that they understand. And yes, it is true that you have to write in English for exams and for people who themselves are not very well versed in that language. So I understand that you will not be able to restructure your thoughts in actual English. So I should also help you to learn that. So that's why English must be there and Bengali must be there. So that's how it started.
স্যার আমি 3 বছর শরৎ মহন্তের কাছেই পড়েছি আপনি যার নাম বললেন
অনেকে পড়েছে
তো এমএসসি তে যখন উঠেছি রাজাবাজার সায়েন্স কলেজে তখন থেকে আপনার বই পড়েছি আর আপনার প্রত্যেকটা বই আমি পড়েছি আর আপনার বইটা না থাকলে হয়তো আমি নেটটাও পাস করতে পারতাম না তো আপনার কোশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে আপনার নেক্সট বুকটা কবে আসবে
আমি যেখানে ফোরাম দিই কেউ না কেউ আমাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করে না প্রায় শেষ হয়ে এসেছে কিন্তু তারপর এত রকমের ঝামেলা এসে পরেই যেমন টক দিতে হচ্ছে ঝামেলা এর মধ্যে কতটা লেখা হয়ে যেত হবে হয়ে এসছে প্রায় হয়ে এসছে সেটার জন্য একটা মাল্টিভেরিয়েট ক্যালকুলাস বিজ্ঞাপন দিয়ে দিলাম এই ফাঁকে কিন্তু আমার পুরো বক্তব্যটার মধ্যে যদি সবচেয়ে বড় মেসেজ থেকে থাকে ইউজুয়াল ব্যাপারগুলো আছে সেটা হচ্ছে এইটা কিন্তু খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটা ব্যাপার কারণ আমি এভাবে যখন বললাম আমি চিন্তাটা এভাবে করিনি আমার চিন্তাটা ছিল এটা যে কোনো সাস্টেনেবল হিউম্যান এন্ডেভারের মধ্যে একটা মাল্টিপ্লিকেশন ফ্যাক্টর থাকে যে ব্যবসা করছে সে যতটা টাকা দেবে তার চেয়ে বেশি টাকা যদি সে না পায় ব্যবসা চলতে পারে না। যে চাষ করছে সে যতটা ধান রোপণ করবে তার থেকে বেশি ধান যদি না পায় তাহলে তার চাষ চলতে পারে। তাহলে টিচিং এর ক্ষেত্রে মাল্টিপ্লিকেশন ফ্যাক্টরটা কি করে আসে? আইএসআই তে পড়াতে গিয়ে আমি দেখি এখানে মাল্টিপ্লিকেশন ফ্যাক্টর হচ্ছে 0.00001। আমি কিছু পড়াচ্ছি, এর মধ্যে অধিকাংশ ছাত্র যাবে কি করতে, তারা যাবে এখানে বিভিন্ন রকম ওই রকম যে এইগুলো কোম্পানিগুলো হয় সেখানে পড়াশোনা জানা না জানা কিচ্ছু এসে যায় না। মানে কিভাবে সেন্ট্রাল লিমিট থিওরেম প্রমাণ করতে কি সেটাতে এসে যায়, কিচ্ছু এসে যায়। আচ্ছা, তারপরে কিছু কিছু যাবে আমেরিকার ইউনিভার্সিটিতে করতে। আমি নিজে আমেরিকান ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পিএইচডি করতে গেছি বলে জানি ওই পিএইচডির সংকীর্ণ যেটুকু দরকার ওইটুকুর বাইরে কিচ্ছু না জানলে এসে যায়। যেমন ধরো যে স্ট্যানফোর্ডে যখন আমি গেছি, সেখানে গিয়ে দেখলাম যে ফার্স্ট ইয়ারে একজন জিজ্ঞাসা করছে, স্যার মোমেন্ট মানে কি? যারা স্ট্যাটিস্টিক না জানে তারা ঠিক বুঝবে না যে মোমেন্টের মতো খুব বেসিক কনসেপ্ট কমই আছে। পিএইচডি করতে গেছে, সে জিজ্ঞাসা করছে মোমেন্ট মানে কি, এবং তার কোনো স্ট্যাটিস্টিক ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড নেই। টিচার একেবারে শক না, হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই ফার্স্ট ইয়ারের স্টুডেন্ট মোমেন্ট নাই জানতে পারে। তাহলে আমরা 5 বছর ধরে সাংঘাতিক করে ভীষণ ভালো রেজাল্ট করেছি বলে আমি স্ট্যানফোর্ডে অ্যাডমিশন পেয়েছি, আর এমন একজনে অ্যাডমিশন পেয়েছি যে মোমেন্ট কাকে বলে তাই জানে। সুতরাং কত ভালো করে আমি পড়ালাম, কিছুই এসে যায়। এবার আমি যেমন একটা কোনো কারণে উত্তেজিত এটা করার চেষ্টা করছি, আবার এরকম 10 বছর পরে আরেকজন উত্তেজিত হয়ে কিছু করবে, ওইটুকুই আমার স্যাটিসফ্যাকশন সেই 0.00001 হয়ে যাবে। তাহলে এই মাল্টিপ্লিকেশন ফ্যাক্টরটা আসবে কোথায়? আসবে তখনই যদি ভবিষ্যৎ প্রজন্মের টিচার যারা প্রচুর প্রচুর করায় তাদের ভেতরে একটা সামান্য আইডিয়া ঢোকানো যায়, যে কিছুই না, গ্রাফ আঁকা যায়, একটা প্রবলেমকে গ্রাফে চিন্তা করা যায়, ছবি দিয়ে ভাবা যায়, একটা অঙ্ককে একটু মডিফাই করা যায়। এই সামান্য একটা চিন্তা যদি ঢোকানো যায় এমন কাউকে যে সত্যি সত্যি পড়ায়। আইএসআই প্রফেসর তো ওই সংকীর্ণ গণ্ডির মধ্যে ওই অল্প কিছু জিনিস, আইএসআই প্রফেসর পণ্ডিত হোক আর অপণ্ডিত হোক সমাজের কোনোই সমাজ বিন্দু মাত্র কোনো এর মধ্যে প্রভাব পড়বে কি অর্থে? ওই যেটা বললাম, ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রিতে আমরা কতগুলোকে রপ্তানি করতে পেরেছি, কিন্তু সেটা তো আমার কাছে মূল উদ্দেশ্য না। শিক্ষার ক্ষেত্রে মূল উদ্দেশ্য হবে সেই টিচার যারা বাল্কে রয়েছে। তাহলে সেখানে হলে পরে একটা মাল্টিপ্লিকেশন ফ্যাক্টর আছে। সুতরাং আমাকে এমন কিছু করতে হবে যারা এই কমিউনিটিটা পায়। এই কমিউনিটিটা কোথা থেকে আসে? এই কমিউনিটিটা যেখান থেকে আসে তারা হচ্ছে ওই কলকাতা শহর কি একটু শহরতলি অঞ্চল এখান থেকে, এবং যারা যদিও বা আইএসআই বা এসব জায়গায় কিছু হয়তো করেছে কিন্তু স্টিল ওই একেবারে টপ জিনিসটাতে উঠে যাবে না, অর্থাৎ যেটাকে আমরা তথাকথিত অর্থে টপ বলি, সেই দিকে বেরিয়ে যাবে না। মানে কেউ আমেরিকায় চলে গেলে মানে আমার কাছে খরচের খাতা হয়ে গেলে থাকা না থাকা সমান ছিল, কিন্তু এর পেছনে যা যা আমি এনার্জি ব্যয় করি সব চলে গেল। কেউ যদি তা না যায়, কেউ একটা লোকাল কলেজে পড়ে, একটা স্কুলে পড়ায়, প্রাইভেট টিউশনই করে, আমার মনে খুব ভালো হয়েছে, ঠিক আছে, এর পেছনে যা খেটেছি সেটা কাজে লাগে। সুতরাং এরা কোথায় আছে? এই গ্রুপটাকে যখন আমি খুঁজছি তখন দেখলাম এরা কোন ভাষায় কথা বলে, এরা কিভাবে করে, এরা কি দেখেছে, এরা কি পড়েছে। আমি সম্পূর্ণ ওদের কথা ভেবে শুধু আমার কাছে বাংলা হচ্ছে সেই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। এইখান থেকে আমি স্টার্ট করেছি। ওকে, পরবর্তী বক্তা আমার খুব চটে গেছেন, পরবর্তী আপনি, সরি ঠিক আছে আমি তাহলে কেটে বলি। হ্যাঁ, একটা question আছে।
আমাদের বর্তমানে পরিস্থিতি আছে,
কি প্রশ্নটা করছে? ও হ্যাঁ, তুই করছে।
তাতে যে মানে যেভাবে আনএমপ্লয়মেন্ট ছড়িয়ে আছে, তাতে আমাদের প্রাইমারি অবজেক্টিভ এমপ্লয়মেন্ট দেওয়াটা হওয়া উচিত।
হ্যাঁ, এমপ্লয়মেন্ট দেওয়াটা
এবং তার ফলে যেভাবে আমাদের অ্যাপ্রোচটা নেবে, ঠিক নেবে, সেই দিকটা যাওয়াটা কি ভুল?
না, সেটা তো অবশ্যই ভুল নয়, কিন্তু এমপ্লয়মেন্টটা কি থেকে আসছে সেটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ।
হ্যাঁ, এবার যেখানে কিছুই এমপ্লয়মেন্ট ধরুন নেই, সেখানে তো যে কোনো জায়গা থেকে এমপ্লয়মেন্ট এলেই তো হলো।
মনে করো পকেট মারছো, এটা খারাপ হয়ে যাবে না?
যেকোনো তাহলে আপনি আইএসআইএস কেও তো এমপ্লয়মেন্ট জোন করবেন।
হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই, তো মানে হেল কথা হচ্ছে না, দেখো তুমি যেটা বলছো সেটা হচ্ছে টিপিক্যালি লোকে যখন আলোচনা করে যে সমাজটার কোন দিকে যাওয়া উচিত, সেগুলো খুব কঠিন প্রশ্ন, আমি তার উত্তর জানি না। আমি যেটা বললাম সেটা হচ্ছে আমি নিজেকে কি বলছিলাম, সমাজ যেমন আছে সেরকমই থাকবে, কিছু আমার করার নেই। এমপ্লয়মেন্টের জন্য লোকে যাবে না যাবে, মানে আমি শিক্ষামন্ত্রীও নেই, মুখ্যমন্ত্রী নেই, প্রধানমন্ত্রীও নেই, আমার কথা কেউ শুনবে না, এরকম একটা স্ট্রাকচারে আমি অ্যাট বেস্ট কি করতে পারি, আমি সেই ডিসিশনটার কথা বলছি। কিন্তু তুমি যেটা বলছো সেটা হচ্ছে যদি আমার হাতে কন্ট্রোল থাকে যে এমপ্লয়মেন্টের দিকে যাওয়া উচিত না এই দিকে যাওয়া উচিত, কারণ আমি এমপ্লয়মেন্টের দিকে যাওয়াতে রীতিমতো আগ্রহী হতাম, যে আমি 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 যাদের জন্য বই লিখেছি তাদের সেইটা করে যদি আমি কিছু এমপ্লয়মেন্ট বাড়াতে পারতাম, আমি চেষ্টাও করেছিলাম, আমি দেখছি অসম্ভব, লম্বা লাইন রয়েছে। সুতরাং আমি বাংলায় বুঝিয়ে যেখানে নিতে পারবো, যেটা বললাম লাইনের শেষের দিকে যোগ হবে, অসম্ভব, এরা পারবে না। সুতরাং আমি যখন নিজের জন্য প্ল্যান করছি, আমি দেখছি এমপ্লয়মেন্টের কথা ভেবে লাভ নেই। তুমি যদি সমাজের জন্য বড়ভাবে চিন্তা করো, তাহলে এটা একটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ পয়েন্ট এবং এটা নিয়ে অনেকটা চিন্তা করা দরকার। যে এমপ্লয়মেন্টের জন্য করবে, সাহেবরা যদি টাকা দেয়, টাকা তো পাচ্ছিস বাবা, কর না, যাই ভাই দিল না, হ্যাঁ কিছুই তেমন করতে হচ্ছে না, টাকার লোভে একটু কর না বাবা, খুব ভালো কষ্ট করতে বলছে না। একটা উদাহরণ বলি এমপ্লয়মেন্টের কথা। একটি মেয়ে ছিলাম, সেই আর কি মানে আমাদের এখানকার রিসার্চ স্কলারদেরই বয়সী। তো সে কি করে যেন মালদা থেকে হারিয়ে গেছিল না চুরি হয়ে গেছিল, কিভাবে এসেছিল, সে আমার আর কি গিন্নির বাপের বাড়িতে এসে উঠেছিল, এই কোনো একটা কাজের মেয়েছে এসেছিল, তারপর তার সাংঘাতিক অসুখ হয়, তো ওকে টাকা পয়সা দিয়ে ওকে কোনো করে বাঁচানো হয়। তা আমার গিন্নির চিন্তা হলো যে একে যেভাবেই হোক একটা এমপ্লয়মেন্ট দিতে হবে, নইলে মেয়েটা চিরকাল আমার ঘাড়ে বসে খাবে, এটাও ঠিক না, আর ও একটা ই করে মাথা উঁচু করে করতে হবে। কি করা যায়? তা ওকে পড়াশোনা শেখানো যাবে, এইটা করানো যাবে, ওটা করানো যাবে, যাই হোক পড়াশোনা শিখে সত্যিকারেরও একটা টাকা পয়সার মুখ দেখবে, সেটা লম্বা পথ, বিশাল লম্বা পথ। এবং ওই যেটা বললাম, অনেক চেষ্টা করে লম্বা লাইনটা শেষে এসে পড়বে, কিন্তু ওকে তো কিছু ইমিডিয়েটলি দিতে হবে। তখন দেখা গেল যে কাজটা পেয়েও সেসব যে নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়াতে পারলো, সেটা হচ্ছে বিউটিশিয়ানের কোর্স করলো, ওই গাল পালিশ করা, নাক পালিশ করা, এই করে ও কিন্তু টাকা পেলো, খেয়ে তো বাঁচলো। তো আমি নিজেই বলবো এই অবস্থায় ওকে ক্যালকুলাস না শিখিয়ে, সেটা যতই সমাজের পক্ষে ভালো হোক, আমরা গর্ববোধ করি, কিন্তু ওকে বিউটিশিয়ানের কোর্স অনেক বেশি প্র্যাকটিক্যাল, এবং সেটাই হয়েছে, সেটাই ওকে দেওয়া হয়েছে, এখনো বিউটিশিয়ানের কোর্সই করে। এবং সেটা করার পরে, বিউটিশিয়ানের কোর্স করার পরে যদি পাশাপাশি পড়াশোনাটা চালিয়ে যেত, না পাশাপাশি পড়াশোনাটা চালিয়ে যায়নি, ও টিপিক্যাল আমরা যে শত সহস্র বিউটিশিয়ান মেয়ে দিকে, ও ঠিক সেরকমই আরেকটা মেয়ে। ঠিক কথা, এটা খুব দুঃখের ব্যাপার, আমাকে দুঃখ লেগেছিল, এই একটা মেয়ে একদম হাতের মুঠোয় ছিল, কিছু একটা করানো গেল না। এমন আমি এটাও ভেবেছিলাম আমার বইগুলো লেখার কাজে আমি যদি ওকে রাখি এবং অনেক বেশি মায়না দিয়েও রাখি, না ইম্পসিবল, মানে এটা আমি করতে পারি, সেটা কমপ্লিটলি আমার যদি একটা মেয়ে থাকতো তার পেছনে পুরো টাকা ঢালতাম, সেরকম একটা ব্যাপার। কিন্তু নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়াতে পারবে না, কারণ আমরা একটা থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি। আফটার অল আমরা একটা থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি, আমরা নিজেদের রেভিনিউ নিজেরা আর্ন করতে পারি না। তো একজনকে যদি তুলে বলি তুমি আর্ন করো, সে করতে পারবে না। সুতরাং বাধ্য হয়ে তোমাকে ইন সাম ফর্ম অর আদার ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ডের দীক্ষা দিতেই হবে। বিউটিশিয়ান মানে কি, কোনো ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি থেকে টাকা পাচ্ছে সেই কোনো মহিলা, সুতরাং তার ভাবছে আমি ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি থেকে এত টাকা পেয়েছি, টাকা দিয়ে সব কেনা যায়, আমি সুন্দরী হবো। সুন্দরী হতে গিয়ে কি করতে হয়, বিউটিশিয়ানের কাজে যাও। এসেনশিয়ালি ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি থেকে চুইয়ে পড়া টাকায় একটুখানি টুকরো দেবে, এটা করতেই হবে। তো এমপ্লয়মেন্টের জন্য করতেই হবে, এখানে কোনো রকম উচিত অনুচিতের প্রশ্ন, মানে এটা মানে আমি উচিত কি অনুচিত এটা বলারই অবস্থা না, দ্যাট ইজ হোয়ার ইজ ক্যান। কিন্তু এই সিচুয়েশনে দাঁড়িয়ে, যেখানে জিনিসপত্র ভালো নয়, অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ, ঘোর কলি এবং ঘোর কলিকাতা, সেই অবস্থায় দাঁড়িয়ে আমি কি করতে পারি? কিছুই করতে পারি না, অনেকেই হতাশ, কিছু করবো না। সেখানে আমি দেখলাম না, আমি যদি এই গ্রুপটাকে টার্গেট করি, তাহলে আমার করার আছে, ভালো রকম করার আছে, এবং যেটা ইভেন্চুয়ালি কিছু হয়তো কন্ট্রিবিউট করবে। কিন্তু আসল কথা হচ্ছে অ্যাটলিস্ট এই এনভায়রনমেন্টটাকে অনেকটা সুন্দর করে তুলবে, এবং সেটা যে সত্যিই করে তুলেছে, সেটা আমি বেশ কিছু প্রমাণও আমার কাছে এসছে। এই ব্যাপারটা যে সায়েন্সের ক্লাস একটা মানে বলতে গেলে অলমোস্ট একটা প্রেশার কুকারের মতো ক্লাস, এই অদ্ভুত কিছু জিনিস মুখস্থ করতে হবে, কোনো ব্যাখ্যা পাওয়া যায় না, যে একটু প্রশ্ন করে সে বকা খায়, ইম্পসিবল একটা ব্যাপার। তার ভেতর থেকে এটা একটা বেরিয়ে আসা পর কিন্তু মানে একা একজন করছি সেই হিসেবে যতটা করা যেতে পারে, এটা বলবো মানে দ্য বেস্ট দ্যাট আই ক্যান থিঙ্ক। এই কারণে আমি সিদ্ধান্ত এমপ্লয়মেন্টের ডেফিনেটলি দরকার, একদম ঠিক।
প্রশ্নটা খুবই রিলেভেন্ট,
হ্যাঁ।
এবং কেন এমপ্লয়মেন্ট নেই সেটা নিয়ে একটা মানে অনেক রকম আলোচনা করা যেতে পারে, বা
ঠিক কথা।
এমপ্লয়মেন্ট বলতে আসলে কি বুঝি আমরা,
হ্যাঁ।
এমপ্লয়াবিলিটি প্রিন্সিপালটাই বা কি আমাদের দেশের বা শিক্ষামন্ত্রীর বা
আমার সাথে পেপারটি নেই কেন?
হ্যাঁ মানে এই অনেকভাবেই মানে কি কি এমপ্লয়
হ্যাঁ।
কোনটাকে ঠিকঠাক এমপ্লয়মেন্ট বলা যায়। তো যাই হোক মানে খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটা বিষয়, যেটা এডুকেশন নিয়ে আলোচনা করলেই হয়তো এই প্রশ্নটা আসবে, কারণ
হ্যাঁ,
আজকে
আসবেই, হ্যাঁ।
কারণ এত হাই আনএমপ্লয়মেন্ট রেট, এবং সত্যি কেউ জানে না পড়াশোনা করে তারপর তার কি হবে,
কারণ আমরা যে পড়াশোনাগুলো করছি সেগুলোর সাথে আমাদের জীবনের কোনো যোগ নেই,
সম্পর্ক নেই।
সম্পর্ক
মানে
নেই।
এবং সাধারণ স্কুল কলেজে গেলে এটা আরো স্পষ্ট একটা ব্যাপার, এখানে তাও আমেরিকা যাওয়ার চান্সটা আছে,
হ্যাঁ।
অন্য জায়গায় যেখানে আমেরিকা যাওয়ার চান্সটা নেই
সেটাও
সেটা
নেই,
আরো
হ্যাঁ।
কিছুই নেই। তো এটা কেন আর কি, মানে এটা জাস্ট থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি বলে তো নয়, মানে বললেন যে
হ্যাঁ, না
তারপরে সামথিং ল্যাকস ইন আওয়ার কান্ট্রি বা দ্য
হ্যাঁ,
প্ল্যানিং।
মানে সেটার জন্যই আমরা থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি, থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি একটা লেভেল মানে। হ্যাঁ, সেটা নিয়ে একটা একদিন বলা যেতে পারে না, আমি আর বলতে চাই না, এই ভুল বলি।
সেটা একটা গোল টেবিল ডিসকাশন হতে পারে যে সবাই
So now is the time to thank our speaker.
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। ও থ্যাংক ইউ।
We have our snack time. So please take a snack from outside and please be present in 10 minutes. Okay, so we will be inviting our webinar from 5:45.
আমাদের অনুগ্রহ করে মানে আমাদের টাকা দেয় বক্সটা এখানে রাখি সেটা তহবিল বানানো হয়েছে ফোনে রেখে দিয়েছি হ্যাঁ